This vlog is about Guillermo del Toro's Shape of the Water. This movie follows a mute woman named Elisa who works as a cleaning lady for a secret government institution. She finds herself in a complicated, suspenseful drama when she falls for a scaly fish-like humanoid species brought in that showed a level of intelligence and affection towards her. The biggest theme of this film is by far loneliness and solidarity. Each prominent character does not hide behind metaphors in their isolation, depicting very real, different demographics that are famously isolated today. Elisa Esposito being a mute, Gerald Giles being a homosexual, and Zelda Fuller being a black woman. The only metaphor being the amphibian man, who could be thought to represent immigrants. It is also no coincidence that the main villain of this movie is a sexist military white man completely drenched in toxic masculinity and the necessity to be the best, not forgotten, or thrown aside. The Shape of Water uses a couple distinct tactics pulled from early surrealism in this film. The first being cutting on juxtaposition. Elisa is constantly juxtaposed with water. This is blatantly obvious even from the first scene, when you can see Elisa's infatuation with water with the way that she touches it and plays with it while she's drawing a bath. It is also fairly easy to say with confidence that the treatment of the amphibian man in this movie juxtaposes the conduct shown towards people of color in America. From the verbal abuse and general disgust in characters' voices at the mention of the amphibian man to the blunt and cruel torture sayings bring out, to me, images of the abuse people of color receive on a daily basis to extremes like the torture victims. This less-than-human juxtaposition can be a powerful one when trying to dig deeper to why Guillermo chose to make him a foreign creature and the message he's trying to get across with the comparison of a human depicted character towards him like Elisa. The second is unnatural reality. This is fairly obvious in the film. The addition of an amphibian humanoid that is capable of complex cognition, falling in love with a woman, going through an absurd series of events to formulate its escape, flooding an entire bathroom might be a little far from reality. But the point is that it is not all crazily out of this world. The majority of the plot and setting is still very real to the time period and helps immerse the viewer into an alternative reality that then becomes not that absurd of an idea. The use of this idea can send powerful messages with metaphors of real issues using seemingly absurd alternatives. The third being shocking imagery. Again, a fairly obvious one. The most memorable image that sticks in your mind from this film are the scenes involving Richard Strickland's fingers. As they decay, they become more and more vile until finally he rips them off. The use of this vivid and hideous imagery can be thought of a way to show his losing of control of his life and humanity, which, like a decaying fingers, is an ugly thing to witness. The ability to use vivid and shocking imagery is a classic and moving way to display underlying themes rather than blatantly saying them. Finally, the use of color. A big theme in this film is the use of color to depict emotion and themes in it. This film was almost completely comprised of two colors, red and green. Though I'm sure there are many different meanings for the uses of these two colors, the one that stood out was the transition of green to red in Elisa's life. In the beginning of the film, her life is green, from her clothes to most of her surroundings. However, after her first interactions with the amphibian man, on her way home, her life becomes lit with red, and throughout the film, she begins wearing more and more red, including a pair of red heels that she saw longingly in a store at the beginning before she met the creature. In this instance, this could be interpreted as red signifying happiness, love, or fulfillment. This can also be seen in Giles' life, from the green key lime pie that he would get from the pie man, which ends up as a disaster, to the change from the red jello in his advertisement painting to green when asked to do so, which ended up going nowhere as well. His green life was that of failure, rejection, and malcontent. However, in the end of the film, after he meets the creature and decides to risk everything for Elisa, he can be seen wearing a dark red sweater, which could signify some form of fulfillment. However, an article by Adam Pockross points out that this is not all fit, for in the end of the film, the amphibian man and Elisa descend into a dark green and blue nothingness of the ocean that you would expect to be where they live the rest of their days out in undying love and bliss. But then why is it green? Overall, there are countless themes and messages that can be found while watching this movie, and most movies, many of which are for a keener eye than my own. But there's something to be said about what you can take from a movie when you sit down and give it your full, undivided attention.